The Kurram Valley in Pakistan has once again become a battleground. Clashes erupted between the Shia Malikel tribe and the Sunni Majhi Kale tribe. This latest outbreak of violence has claimed the lives of dozens of people. Hundreds more have been injured. The fighting has centered around the city of Parachinar and the town of Sadr. Both are important commercial hubs in the region. The clashes began after a dispute over the ownership of agricultural land. This quickly escalated into open warfare between the two tribes. Both sides employed heavy weaponry. Mortars and rockets were used in the fighting. This resulted in significant damage to property and infrastructure. The clashes have had a devastating impact on the local population. The violence in Kurram is the latest in a long line of similar incidents. This region has a history of sectarian and tribal conflict. The Pakistani government has struggled to maintain peace in the area. The recent clashes highlight the fragility of the situation. The violence threatens to destabilize the entire region. The immediate trigger for the recent clashes is a dispute over land. The Shia Malikel tribe and the Sunni Majhi Kale tribe both claim ownership of a tract of agricultural land. This dispute is not new, it has been simmering for years. The lack of a clear resolution has fueled tensions between the two communities. However, the land dispute is just one facet of a more complex problem. The Kurram Valley has a long history of sectarian violence between Sunnis and Shias. This is partly due to the region's location. Kurram borders Afghanistan. This makes it a transit point for militants and weapons. The presence of these groups has exacerbated existing tensions. The Pakistani state has often struggled to assert its authority in the region. This has created a vacuum. Various groups, including tribes and militants, have exploited this. They compete for resources and power. The lack of governance has made it difficult to resolve disputes peacefully. This includes disputes over land and resources. The ongoing violence in Kurram has had a significant impact on the local population. The most immediate consequence is the loss of life. The death toll continues to rise each day. Hundreds of families have been displaced by the fighting. They have been forced to flee their homes. Many are now living in makeshift camps. The clashes have also had a severe impact on the local economy. Markets and businesses have been forced to close. Trade has been disrupted. This has led to shortages of essential goods. The prices of food and fuel have skyrocketed. The violence has also disrupted education and healthcare services. The internet has been shut down in parts of Kurram. This is an attempt by the government to prevent the spread of misinformation. However, it has also made it more difficult for journalists and human rights organizations to document the situation. The internet shutdown has further isolated the affected communities. It has hampered relief efforts. Section 4. Kurram's turbulent past. The Kurram Valley has a long history of violence and instability. The region has been a battleground for centuries. Different empires and kingdoms have fought for control of the strategic valley. The region's modern history has been equally turbulent. Kurram became part of Pakistan after the partition of British India in 1947. However, this led to new conflicts. Kurram has a diverse population. It is home to Pashtun and Shia tribes. This mix has often led to tensions. The region has experienced several waves of sectarian violence since the 1980s. The conflict in neighbouring Afghanistan has also spilled over into Kurram. The Pakistani government has launched several military operations in Kurram. These operations aim to quell the violence and restore order. However, these have had limited success. The root causes of the conflict remain unaddressed. These include poverty, inequality, and the lack of governance. Section 5. The government's response and the path to peace. The Pakistani government has responded to the recent violence in Kurram with a show of force. The army has been deployed to the region. A curfew has been imposed in several areas. The government has also shut down the internet. This is an attempt to control the flow of information. However, military action alone is unlikely to bring lasting peace to Kurram. A more comprehensive approach is needed. This must address the root causes of the conflict. The government should prioritize dialogue and reconciliation between the warring communities. The government should also address the issue of land disputes. It should establish a fair and transparent mechanism for resolving these disputes. This will require the cooperation of all stakeholders. This includes tribal elders, religious leaders, and government officials. The international community also has a role to play in bringing peace to Kurum. It can provide humanitarian assistance to those affected by the violence. It can also support the Pakistani government's efforts to promote dialogue and reconciliation.